Welcome, my name is Isaac Enim and my job is to make things simple for you. In this video, we are going to learn how to code this random password generator with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Here's how it works. Click the Generate button to generate a new password. Then you can click this copy button to copy the password to clipboard. Now let's see if our password was copied. Let's paste it in our browser address bar. And as you can see, the password has been copied. You also saw that this alert slides in after clicking the copy button, telling you that password has been copied. Without wasting much time, let's start building our random password generator. I have already created our HTML file. Input an exclamation mark and then press tab to generate some boilerplate code. Our page title is Random Password Generator. Now let's move on to the body. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about each line of code. However, I will take my time to explain the lines that I feel may be difficult to understand. So just follow along as I am writing. So this is the input field where our generated password will appear. And because of that, we do not want the user to type anything in there. So to prevent that, we add the attribute read only to our input field. Now the user will not be able to type anything in our input field. Let's continue. When the user clicks the copy button, this is the alert container that will notify the user that the generated password has been copied. As you can see, with the alert container, I have input the statement, please generate password first. This statement will be printed to the user if he clicks the copy button without generating the password first. So I think we are done for HTML. Now let's move on to CSS. With the CSS also, I am not going to talk about each line of code. However, I will take my time to explain the lines that I feel may be difficult to understand. So just follow along. The only thing I will explain in the CSS is the alert container. We want our alert container to only show when the user clicks the copy button. That means most of the time the alert container has to remain hidden. How do we hide it? There are several ways we can hide it, but for this project we will hide it with the button property. Now take note that the button property will not work without the position property first, where I have chosen absolute as its value. The bottom property only tells our browser how far we want our elements to be from the bottom of the page. So if I choose 50 pixels, here is where it will be. But we want to hide it, so instead I'll use the negative value. So negative 200 pixels should hide it. Now, we also need our alert container to show when our user clicks the copy button. For that, we add another class and name it active. We give it the bottom property and assign a value of 50 pixels to it. Now let's test to see if it works. We go back to our HTML file, then let's add the active class to our alert container. And as you can see, the alert shows. Now let's remove the active class and the alert should disappear. But we are not going to manually add our active class when our user clicks the copy button, and that is where JavaScript comes in. So with the help of JavaScript, we will be able to add the active class when our user clicks the copy button. So let's now move on to JavaScript. Now the first thing we will do in our app.js file is to define our HTML elements. So we will be manipulating 4 HTML elements in this project, which are the generate button, the input field, the copy button, and the alert container that we have already hidden. Let's target our generate button. So we type const and name it generate btn equals document.querySelector, and since it has an ID called generate, we type hashtag generate. Let's copy and paste 3 times. Next is the input field, so we name it input, then hashtag input. Next is the copy button, we name it copy btn and then hashtag copy. Finally is the alert container, so we name it alert and hashtag alert. Now that we are done defining our HTML elements, let's target the generate button first, because that's where all the magic will happen. So we type generate btn.add event listener. So which events are we looking for? We are looking for a click, so we type click and then an arrow function comes in. Now in here we will tell JavaScript what should happen anytime a user clicks the generate button. And with this project we want to create a password, so let's name a function called create password. So anytime a user clicks the generate button, this function will execute. Now let's come down here and define the function. So we type function, the name of our function is create password, and then open brackets. Let's create a variable and name it characters. Now there is no way our code can generate a random password without a set of predefined characters to choose from. So for this project we have ABCD to Z, all caps, 0 to 9, ABCD to Z, lowercase, and then some symbols. So these are the characters that our function will randomly generate a password from. Next, let's define our password length. So we create a variable and name it password length. We assign it to 10. I have chosen 10 because I want my password to have 10 characters. Next, let's create another variable and name it password, and then assign it to an empty string. Next, let's create a for loop which will go over these characters 10 times because our password length is 10. In each of these loops, JavaScript will pick a random character and push it to our password variable, hence creating a random password. So we type for bracket opens, let I equals 0, I is less than the password length, and then increment I by 1 each time. So we say I++. Before JavaScript will pick a random character, it first has to pick a random number. The length of this character's variable is 75. So with each loop, JavaScript will pick a random number that ranges from 0 to 75. So let's create a variable and name it randomNum equals. Now here's a function for creating a random number. Math.floor bracket opens math.random times characters.length. Now that we are done creating a random number, we need to pick a character which corresponds to that random number. So here's the function for picking a character based on the random number. We type characters.substring bracket opens randomNum, randomNum plus 1. If you are finding it difficult to understand the substring method, I have a video just for that, and the link is in the description below. Next, we need to push our chosen character to our password. So we need to type password plus equals in front of our substring method. Now we are done creating our password, but we also need it to appear here in the input field. So let's target our input. We type input.value equals password. Now let's see if our code is working. I'll click the generate button, and as you can see, it generates a new password. Also, with every click, a new password is generated. Next, we move on to the copy button. So we target copy btn, then we add an event listener. We are listening for a click, then an arrow function comes in. We want our password to be copied to clipboard when the user clicks the copy button. So let's create a function and name it copy password. Let's move down here and define the function. So I'll type function copy password, then I'll open brackets. Here's the function for copying to clipboard in JavaScript. I'll type navigator.clipboard.writeText, then I'll open parentheses and then put the target element. So in this case, we are looking to copy the password in our input field. So I'll type input.value. Now let's test our button to see if it's working. I'll generate a password, then click the copy button, then I'll paste it in the browser address bar. As you can see, I've been able to paste our password in the browser address bar. So that means our copy button is working. Next, we need to alert the user that the password has been copied. We do that by targeting the copy alert element. Under the copy password function, I'll type copyalert.classlist.add into brackets active. So what I'm doing here is I'm telling JavaScript to add the active class to the alert container anytime a user clicks the copy button. Let's see if it's working. So you can see the alert container has appeared after I clicked the copy button. But the message in the alert container is not what we want. We can fix this by adding this line of code in the create password function. I'll type copyalert.textContent equals password plus the string copied. So this will tell our user that the password has been copied. Let's try it again and see. Now our alert container is working fine. Now let me try to generate another password while our alert container is active. You can see that the alert container is telling us that the password has been copied while I have not clicked the copy button. That means we need to find a way for our alert container to disappear when our user clicks the generate button for any subsequent times. We can achieve this by using an if statement. Below the create password function, I'll type if copyalert alert.classList.contains_active, open brackets, copy alert.classList.remove_active. So basically what we are telling JavaScript is that anytime the user clicks the generate button, check if the alert container contains the active class. If it does, remove it. So let me try again and see. So now our code is working fine with no flaws. So with every click, I am generating a new password. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done building the random password generator. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or thoughts on this project, please leave it in the comment section below. Thank you very much for staying with me until the end, and I'll see you in another video.